Good morning, children. Hope all of you are safe at home and completing your assignments. Now, welcome back to Science Class 7. Now, first let us discuss the answers for the questions that were given in your last assignment. Now, the first main was fill in the blanks. Now, clothes of dark colors absorb more heat better than clothes of light colors. No medium is required for transfer of heat by the process of radiation. In solids, heat is transferred by the process of conduction. Poor conductors are known as insulators. Now answer the following. Convection is a process by which heat is transferred in liquids and gases from the hotter part to the colder part. So convection occurs only in liquids and gases, whereas conduction occurs in solids. Now, wearing of many layers of clothing during winter is helpful because air gets trapped in between these layers of clothes. And air, being a poor conductor of heat, does not allow heat to escape from a body and it keeps us warm. The next question. Light colored clothes reflect most of the heat that falls on them, and therefore we feel more comfortable wearing them in summer. So we wear light clothes because it reflects all the heat. It does not absorb it. That is why we are very comfortable when we wear clothes which are light in color. Now let's begin this session. Now first let's discuss about matter. Now matter is a very simple topic which all of you have studied in your lower classes also. So here all of us know that matter is there everywhere around us, and when it comes to the scientific term, the way we define matter is anything that takes up space and has mass. So anything that takes place that has weight and that takes up space is called matter. And this matter which is there around us is constantly experiencing changes, and the changes could be both chemical or physical. So every day when you come across many changes in your surroundings, there are so many changes that's happening around you. For example, I'll just give you a few examples. Your mother may ask you to make a cold drink. So you take sugar and you mix some juice with it, and then you make a cold drink. You dissolve the sugar gets dissolved in the water and you make a drink for yourself. Or similarly, setting curd from milk is again a change. You have milk, and when you set it into curd, it changes. Similarly, say for example, you have a rubber band which is stretched. Okay, there again it represents a change. Now basically when we talk of matter, we say that matter is of three types, or the states of matter are solids, liquids and gases. They're basically divided into three types. Now let's talk about the states of matter: solids, liquids, gases and plasma. And plasma, it is the fourth state of matter. So you just have to remember and just understand. You don't have to go into detail and understand it. Now we will first talk about solids, liquids and gases. Now when we talk about solids, liquids and gases, first thing, when you look at a solid structure or something which is a solid, you know all solids have a definite shape and size. And the atoms which are present in the solids are very, very closely packed. Now when we go to liquids, the liquids have a definite volume but can change shape. They can change shape, meaning they take the shape of the container in which they are kept. So here the molecules are not very tightly packed, just like how it is in the solids. The next, gases take both shape and volume can change. The molecules are far apart. They are not very close to each other. They are very, very far apart. So there is very less intermolecular attraction between the molecules. And when we talk of the fourth state of matter, it's just plasma, which is found in the stars, in the lightning that you see. So that there, the state of matter is in the plasma state, where we have ionized gas. Ionized gas meaning the particles are charged. They have positive and negative charges. Now for this, you just have to remember this much. So I just wanted to talk to you about solids, liquids and gases, and how next what we'll talk about is how the solids can change into liquids and then into gases and vice versa. We'll just talk about it and then we will go on with the physical and chemical changes. Now just look at the picture on the slide. Now we know states of matter can change from one state to another, meaning it can change from the solid state to the liquid state, from the liquid state to the gaseous state, and again from gaseous to liquid. So this can happen. So in the first picture, you can see ice melting over there. Now when you see ice melting over there, ice is in the solid state. Now once it starts melting, it changes from the solid state to the liquid state. So ice melts and forms water. Now, the second picture which shows you the picture of water, it's just water which is boiling in a vessel, and after a particular period of time, once it gets heated, the water starts to change into steam. So water is in the liquid state, and what it is changing into, it is changing into water vapor, and that water vapor is again in the gaseous state. So the next process is condensation. Now what happens in condensation is the substance which is in the gaseous state changes into the liquid state. Now that's a small example which I can give you. Just now you saw the picture of water being heated and how it was converted into vapor, right? Now as soon as you see, when we see that, you can just keep a plate over it and you can just stop heating the water. Now after some time you can see that the vapor cools down back into water. So the substance changes back from the gaseous state to the liquid state. So this is called condensation. So let it be condensation or boiling or uh, any other process. So everywhere what you have seen is there is a change that is occurring, right? So all the time there is a change. There are so many changes that are taking place around you, that takes place around you, right? So what are these changes? And these changes scientifically are or basically grouped into two types, that is physical and chemical changes. Now this physical and chemical changes is a lesson that we are going to talk about. Now the physical and the chemical changes, the differences and what it means, what is the meaning of physical, what is the meaning of chemical, and what is a physical and a chemical change is what we are going to study in this lesson. So changes are basically grouped into physical and chemical changes. Now, what's the difference? Now, let's take a few examples. Now, just look at the pictures on the slide. Now, the first picture which you can see is the picture of uh, the paper being cut, right? Now, there you know that the paper which is there is cut and the original size of the paper changes, and obviously you cannot join back the paper unless you use gum, and you can stick it and you can get that paper back, but there is no change in the property of that paper. The paper remains the same and there is no new substance formed over there. It just remains the same. Now the next picture which you can see is the picture of ice melting. Now here The ice which is in the solid state has changed into the liquid state, that is water. Again, the same water can be changed back into ice, and uh, the property of that water remains the same, meaning it will not change. The next picture is the picture of the toast or the bread which is getting burnt. Okay. Now this picture which shows you the picture of the bread getting burnt. Once it is burnt, I cannot get back that same piece of bread. So this is a chemical change. Now let's talk about few more examples. Now you can see the picture of the unripe mango which is green in color there. Now this mango which is unripe changes or it gets ripened. Once it is ripe, I cannot get back the unripe mango again. So again there is a change, and that change which takes place over here is a chemical change. The next picture is of burning of wood. Again, when wood is burnt, there is a chemical change and lot of heat and energy is produced. The wood is totally broken, or it is totally turned into, changed into ashes. Now that piece of wood cannot be got back again. It is not reversible. So again, this is a chemical change. So now let us see what is the meaning of a physical change and what is the meaning of chemical change, and then let us go to understand the differences between physical and chemical change. Now let's understand the word physical properties. Physical properties means what? Properties of matter describe that describe the way it looks, the way it appears, the texture, the color, or the odor. So all these things are just physical properties. Now let's come to physical change. Let us understand the meaning of physical change. So I have given you examples of physical change. Now just recollect and just try to understand what is a physical change. A physical change is a change in which a substance undergoes a change in its physical properties only. So it will undergo changes in the physical properties, that is all. There is no change in the chemical composition at all. So that is, I have given you an example of just cutting of paper. Now when I cut paper, it is just a change where maybe the size of the shape changes of the paper, but there is no change in its chemical composition. Second, no new substance is formed. New substances are not formed in a physical change, and generally they are reversible. These are the three important things that you have to remember in a physical change. So in a physical change, only the physical properties are changed. There is no change in the chemical composition of the substance. There is no formation of a new substance, and they are generally reversible. And one very simple example which you can remember is the changes in the states of substance, what I taught in the beginning of the class, where I taught you about how a substance can change from the solid to a liquid, from the liquid to a gaseous state, or from the gaseous state to the liquid, or from the liquid state to the solid state. So here there is no change in the chemical composition of the substance. Say for example, I told you about water. So the chemical composition of water is hydrogen, oxygen. So it remains the same. There is no change over there at all. Yes, only there is change, the change in states of substances over there is a physical change. So that is one very important and easy example that you can remember for physical change. Now let's understand the term chemical changes. What is the meaning of chemical change? When a substance undergoes a chemical change, it is changed into a different substance with different properties. So are you understanding? A new substance is totally formed, and that new substance which is formed is totally having different properties. Now say for example you are baking a cake. Now when you bake a cake, you use maida, you use sugar, you can use egg, you use yeast, you use so many other ingredients. So when you use all these ingredients and you bake a cake, you keep it in the oven and then you bake it. Once the cake is done, you get a substance which is totally new. You cannot find maida, you cannot find sugar, you cannot find or you cannot see anything on that piece of cake that you have made. So whatever substance that you have got over there, or whatever cake that is obtained or made over there is totally different, and that is the new substance that is formed. Another example for chemical change, there are so many examples which I can give, but I'm just talking about a few examples and I've spoken to you about a few. This is another example of digestion of food. Now, how do you understand when I say chemical change? Where does the chemical come over there? Can you find any chemical? Are you eating anything or are you understanding? So, what is the meaning of chemical change over there when I say digestion of food? So, you are taking in food every day, and all the food that is, you have already understood in your last chapter how the food is digested, how it is converted into different smaller substances inside your body, and how the body absorbs it and uses it. Yes. So once you take in that food, the same kind of food cannot be got back. You have eaten rice, you will not get back that rice again, right? Once it enters into your body, it gets digested, you will not get back. There are so many changes. A new product is formed inside the body, it is absorbed by your body, and then the whole product itself, whatever is obtained, is totally different. So this, again, digestion of food comes under chemical change. So as I've already told you, chemical change is not reversible. You cannot reverse it back. You cannot get back the original substance back. So this is the meaning of chemical change. Now let's understand the difference between physical and chemical change. Now physical changes are mostly reversible. You can change it. Chemical changes are not reversible. You cannot get back the original product. The second one, no new substances are formed in a physical change. In a chemical change, one or more new substances are formed. The third example, the substance retains its chemical properties, whereas in the chemical change, whatever the new substance is formed will have different properties from the original substance. Are you understanding? Now for this, I'll just give you one very simple example of the formation of water. This is very simple and all of you will understand, and it's easy to understand. Now all of you know what hydrogen is. Hydrogen is a gas which is present in the atmosphere. Similarly, you have oxygen. Again, oxygen is a gas which is present in the atmosphere. Now, what is the property of hydrogen? Hydrogen is highly inflammable. That means it can catch fire very easily. Similarly, oxygen is a supporter of combustion, meaning oxygen helps in burning. So these are the original properties of hydrogen and oxygen. Now, when I combine these two, hydrogen and oxygen, that is in the ratio of 2:1, that is 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen. When I combine the two, water is formed, correct? Now water which is formed over there is in the liquid state, okay, and that water is not at all flammable or inflammable, or it does not support burning. Instead, water is used to put off fire. Understanding? So, the original properties are lost over there, and the new substance which is formed, yes, the new substance which is formed has a different property. Did you follow? So this is the meaning of that point over there which says the new substance which is formed will have different properties from the original substance. Okay. So understand the difference between physical and chemical change. Now let me give you another example of a chemical change. This is burning of magnesium. First of all, magnesium is a light silvery white element which is either in the form of a ribbon or powder form and burns with a brilliant white colored flame. Okay, so now here in this you just try to understand that when a thin strip of magnesium is held near the candle flame, it starts burning. Okay, it starts burning with a brilliant flame. And how does it burn and what happens when it is getting burnt? So magnesium will react with the oxygen that's there in the atmosphere, forming magnesium oxide. Now, so magnesium combines with oxygen, forming a ash-like product which is called magnesium oxide. So the product that is obtained is totally a different substance that is formed, which loses the original properties of the magnesium and the oxygen. So when this powdery ash is mixed with water, it forms magnesium hydroxide. So this is an example of a chemical change which shows you that a new substance is formed during the reaction. Now let's talk about another chemical change. Reaction of iron with copper sulfate solution. Now first of all, let us see what is copper sulfate. Now copper sulfate is a chemical compound with the formula CuSO4. Can you see that on the slide, where Cu is the symbol which is used to represent copper. Okay, so and this is prepared, and this solution can be prepared in the laboratory by reacting copper oxide with sulfuric acid. So when copper oxide combines with sulfuric acid, we get the solution of copper sulfate. Now the solution of copper sulfate is blue in color. It's a very beautiful blue color. Now what we are trying to understand over here is we are going to see a chemical reaction between copper sulfate and an iron nail. So I put an iron nail into this copper sulfate solution. Now can you see the first picture on the slide where the iron nail is put into this copper sulfate solution, which is blue in color, and you leave this for some time. Maybe for an hour you can leave it, and after some time, after that 1 hour, when you observe, you will find that the blue colored solution has turned into a green color. Now, why did this happen? What change has occurred over there? What is the change that has happened over there? And you can see that iron nail, on the iron nail there is a small slight difference in color, which is a brownish color that you can see over there. Okay, so here there is a change that has taken place. And what is the change that has taken place is, first of all, the reaction of copper sulfate with iron has produced iron sulfate. Can you understand? It has produced a totally new substance over there, that is iron sulfate, and you can see the deposit of that brown color on the nail, which is nothing but it is a deposit of copper. So here are you following that during this chemical reaction, during this change, what has happened? There is a change in color, there is formation of a new substance. Now children, try to complete this assignment. The first main, fill in the blanks. Changes in which new substances are formed are called dash changes. Changes in which only dash properties of a substance change are called physical changes. Straight true or false? Cutting a log of wood into pieces is a chemical change. Condensation of steam is not a chemical change. Formation of manure from leaves is a chemical change. Now state whether the following are physical or chemical changes. The first one is photosynthesis, dissolving sugar in water, digestion of food, and burning of coal. Thank you, children.
Let's do one science magic experiment. I have here baking soda, citric acid, and lemon. So what we will do is, we will take some citric acid in this bottle. You can also use lemon if you don't have citric acid. That will be good as a substitute. These are simple things which you have at home, so you can try it for yourself. And I'll just pour some water. So this is basically just mixing citric acid and water. And what I'll do next is interesting. You can use lemon if you don't have citric acid. That will act as a substitute. Now let's take some baking soda and put it in the balloon. I'll use the reverse side because it's small. Yeah, we'll put some more baking soda so the magic turns out quite well. Okay, so are you ready for the magic? Let's see what will happen. So I'll take this balloon which has baking soda inside and we'll put it on the top and let's see what happens. Whoa! So you see the balloon is blowing. There is a reaction which is happening between the two of them, citric acid and baking soda, and that is liberating some gas which makes the balloon fill. The gas is carbon dioxide. So this balloon will usually be heavier than the other balloon which you fill, you can think of a reason why it is heavier than the other gas. So let's just blow this balloon and see what happens if we fly it. So if you see, it quickly comes down. You can compare the balloon which you blow and the balloon which falls from both the falls, and you can compare and check it for yourself.